You have people like me. There are other people within the Trump administration that recognize the genocide that's going on. So there's internal fighting with this within the administration.
Yeah.
And then you have religious leaders that have no idea what they're talking about. They've never been to Nigeria, and they're commenting on it as well. Some are saying that there's no genocide, it's just complicated. And then you do have others that are speaking out, complimenting Trump and praising Trump for the attacks against the ISIS-affiliated Lakura in Nigeria as if that's going to save Christians. They don't even know what's going on.
You're listening to Faith in Action. I'm your host, Matthew Nowlin.
And I'm Sean Graham.
We lead Conservative Christians of Tennessee, and we are thankful you're listening to this show. Conservative Christians of Tennessee exists to analyze political policy and politicians in Tennessee, and all from a conservative Christian worldview. To support Conservative Christians of Tennessee in our educational efforts, public policy analysis, and other needed endeavors, you can give a one-time or recurring gift at patreon.com/TN Christian. Now, we want to glorify God by helping you to glorify God. It's our mission. So please don't hesitate to send us any questions or comments via email. You can reach me directly by emailing Matthew@tnchristian.com.
Or Sean, SHAWN, @tnchristian.com.
And follow me on X. I'm at MNBookman. I'm shadow banned. I like to talk about things that big media doesn't like. Again, that's at MNBookman. Our scripture for today is Proverbs chapter 12, verse 22. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. Listeners, we all have a bias. Many years ago, we as a nation pretended Walter Cronkite and the evening news were still fair and balanced, but we all know the media has a bias. Your children have a bias. Everyone has opinions, but one thing folks of all biases can agree on is that American media is not just biased anymore, it is propagandized. This past week, we've seen an amazing story of superior American special forces snatching a dictator from his bed. And most media outlets, instead of reporting on what happened, have talked about how horrible it is to play any part in regime change games, even when that regime change is within an American foreign policy that goes all the way back to the founders of our nation. Specifically, we're talking about the Monroe Doctrine. The same media who were 100% supportive of Barack Obama's campaign of regime change and destabilization with drone strikes across North Africa and the Middle East, yes, that same media is a propaganda tool. We as Americans need to wake up and stop pretending these stories are just from different sides of different biases. These media outlets are flat out choosing winners and losers. They're taking sides, and you need to wake up to the fact that they will always take a side against Christians, whether it's social issues, whether it's geopolitical issues. The media is no longer a neutral party. They're pro-Islamist, they're pro-radical, and they're anti-Christian. Today's episode will show you clear details of this, but in case you miss what we're about to say, Sean and I want to be 100% clear. You can no longer trust Western media to deliver any news that's not from a bias, that's not propagandized, and that is not completely against our Christian worldview. Our guest for today, longtime repeated guest, Judd Saul, is a family man. He's an award-winning documentary filmmaker. He's an entrepreneur and a missionary who embarked on a call to action in Nigeria in 2011. That's a long time ago. He and his wife, Sherry, have 5 children, all witnessing the vision unfold when grandfather Dwayne Wessels invited Judd to join him on a missions trip. The trip changed Judd's life forever. Since then, ministering to Nigerians has been a part of Judd's life. And he's regularly served in Nigeria for over 10 years. Judd has been on the ground working with local ministers and missionaries, and he decided to start equipping the persecuted to respond and help persecuted Christians in need. With the local leadership and really an in-country mindset, Judd built a proactive prevention mission with a team of tested-by-fire pastors, missionaries, and dedicated supporters to avert crisis. They created a boots-on-the-ground, locally managed organization called Equipping the Persecuted. And Judd, today we are glad to welcome you to Faith in Action. Welcome, Judd Saul.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
Man, one thing I want our listeners to take away is just to pray for the safety of your group in Nigeria and your effectiveness. I know you guys are in harm's way quite frequently, but our listeners have heard you. I think this might be the 6th time we've had you on the show. They're a well-informed group by now. They've seen the news reports, no doubt, from 2 weeks ago about how American forces took out Islamic forces that were attacking Christians in Nigeria. And Judd, is this a case like we hit some bad guys? Did we hit the right bad guys? Is there more to this story that our listeners need to know?
So to explain this the best way I can is you have three major terrorist Islamist factions in Nigeria. You have Boko Haram, which come from the Kanuri tribe. You have the Fulani ethnic militia, which are the Fulani tribe. And then you have the Lakura, which are the ISIS affiliated tribe. Now, these three terrorist groups and tribes fight each other for territory all the time. They're on the race to dominate Nigeria, to make it a Muslim caliphate. And the question is who's going to get there first? Mm-hmm. Now, what Trump did was he hit the ISIS affiliated group, which is the Lakura tribe, which is the smallest of the three terrorist camps. And these guys are probably responsible for maybe 5% of the Christian persecution in Nigeria. And the Nigerian government hates the Lakura. They hate the ISIS groups. Boko Haram hates them, and so does the Fulani. So the guys that Trump blew up did the Nigerian government a favor, but they also did a favor to the rival terrorist groups. Mm-hmm. And what I know right now is that the U.S. government is not focusing on the main culprit of all the Christian persecution in Nigeria, and that's the Fulani ethnic militia, mm-hmm. which is responsible for 85% of all the Christian persecution deaths in Nigeria.
Now, if you were to try to put yourselves in the mind of the U.S. government, why are they not focusing on the Fulani?
Because the United States government, in its long relationships with Nigeria, believe they can trust certain aspects of people within the Nigerian government, which has been fully infiltrated by the Fulani. The head of the national security for Nigeria is Fulani. There was a Fulani president, that was Buhari. There are Fulani military commanders, Fulani police commanders. And for some reason, the Nigerian government and the U.S. government, they can negotiate and work with the Nigerian government. Well, the Nigerian government says, okay, Mr. Trump, you want to deal with terrorists that have killed Christians. We'll give you these guys. We'll give you the Lakura. We'll help you with these guys. Mm-hmm. And then you can go tell America that you blew up terrorists. And it appears to be a win overall, but the Nigerian government, with the Fulani apparatus, the guys that are in control of the security, are still continuing to kill Christians and lay cover for the terrorists that are killing Christians. So I don't know if you know this, but since Christmas, since the 25th, 35 Christians have been killed. More than that. I'm sorry. It's over 40 Christians that have been killed. There's a group of 12 and then another group of 28 that were killed since Christmas.
Wow.
By the Fulani.
And we just don't have good, realistic Christian principles in this, do we? Because we go back to the Biden administration's relationship, and none of this was truly based on Christian principles. And it's almost like the church people that we have are so poor at analyzing this and helping us speak to it. We're not even helping ourselves. We got Christians that can't even talk to this. So how can we get the president of the United States and other people to stand on Christian principles when, you and I were talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
We've got Christian leaders that are speaking out and saying stupid stuff on this. Judd, I'm confused. How do we get this messaging straight?
Well, first we have to look at the facts, and you have to look at the data. And this is a bit of breaking news. I'm actually doing a press conference in DC next week, and we are launching a very well-researched tool for people to look at. And what it is, it's an interactive map of all the attacks that have taken place over the last 5 years and how many were killed, located in each spot.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
We're releasing an interactive map next week. And that map will clearly show who's doing the killing and where. I think a good visual like that will definitely help. But the problem is there's a lot of mixed signals. Currently in the Trump administration, we have a guy by the name of Massad Bulus, who is Tiffany Trump's father-in-law, who is Trump's envoy to Africa. Massad Bulus is Lebanese, who has lots of businesses in Nigeria, lots of family doing business in Nigeria. The thing is, he is against intervention in Nigeria. He is profiting and making money off the status quo. So you have him shouting, there's not a Christian genocide. Well, then you have people like me. There are other people within the Trump administration that recognize the genocide that's going on. So there's internal fighting with this within the administration.
Yeah.
And then you have religious leaders that have no idea what they're talking about. They've never been to Nigeria, and they're commenting on it as well. Some are saying that there's no genocide. It's just complicated. And then you do have others that are speaking out, complimenting Trump and praising Trump for attacks against the ISIS affiliated Lakura in Nigeria as if that's going to save Christians.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
They have a recognition, but they really don't have a clue what's happening in Nigeria.
Who in the administration does Trump need to listen to? Who would run this properly?
First, we have a big problem that we don't have Mark Walker confirmed as International Religious Freedom Ambassador.
Okay.
He's been nominated. He's gone through all the steps, and he's just waiting on a nomination. That would help out a lot. This is what I'm being told from friends, within the government, that they need that position. They need an International Religious Freedom Ambassador. The good steps that Trump has taken, though, is they removed the ambassador to Nigeria, Ambassador Mills. They got rid of him. Great move.
We talked about
Thank
that on
God.
the last show.
Yeah. Trump got rid of him. That dude's term was up January 4th. So they're looking to get a new ambassador to Nigeria. We're hoping that they pick somebody very Christian and very conservative. And I told them, hey, put my name on the docket. I don't know if I'll get it. That'd be funny if I did, because I would sure do a lot of good out there. But the thing is, we need a few things. Religious Freedom Ambassador confirmed, Mark Walker. We need a new ambassador to Nigeria to get things done, because that guy was a Biden leftover. And guys, and I'm going to say this, there's a lot of leftover Biden people in the State Department that are fighting this as well. So how it works is Trump or somebody like Rubio will give a directive. Well, you have never Trumpers. It'll be like, okay, we got the directive. We'll just do a little bit, kind of show that we're doing our job, but they're really not doing anything. And our embassy is filled with these people.
All right. So that means that we're going to reach out to some of our reps and listeners. If you hear that and you know your rep's email, that's Judd Saul for ambassador to Nigeria. And I would fully support that and endorse that. Judd, you know, and have had the boots on the ground there more than anybody else I've talked to in the last 5 years. I would fully support that. Having a good, solid Christian voice there is what we need. We need a solid relationship with men like you who are willing to take this stand for Christ. So if you're willing, I'll put your name in the hat, buddy. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Listeners, we'll get back to this in just a second, but first, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Navita IT Managed Solutions. Navita IT Managed Services is much more than a help desk. They're more than a network administrator. Navita has decades of business consulting and analytics experience. While many IT companies just react to whatever it is that just broke, Navita proactively looks ahead to understand how money, relationships, and people flow through your business. Navita IT Managed Services works to keep your business growing as a healthy part of God's kingdom. Navita helps churches and businesses steward their resources to become the best business leader possible. So visit them. Their website's NavitaITManagedServices.com. Go there today to learn more about Navita IT Managed Solutions. We are excited to have a veteran-owned Christian business like Navita on board with us this year, and we know that you will love using Navita for all your IT solutions. And now we're back with Judd Saul of equippingthepersecuted.org.
I just want to say this, going back to the people being killed over Christmas. We said it was going to happen. We said it 30 days out that there were going to be attacks. Christians were going to be killed around Christmas, right? Not only did we say that Christians were going to be killed, we said where the terrorists were going to attack. We knew where to attack, and we even knew where the terrorists were gathering, preparing attacks. All that information was handed over to the government. And still nothing happened, but we sent missiles way north and blew up terrorists that are not killing Christians.
Yeah, so I want to go back to those attacks and those strike packages that you're talking about with 2 points. The first is, if I understand correctly, you're saying that the U.S. government is not hitting the people that are actually largely attacking the Christians. I mean, these aren't friends to Christians that they're hitting, but they're not doing the bulk of the attacks. And secondly, these attacks essentially free up the security issues. So like you have 3 Islamist groups at each other's throats. So if you take out a minor one, you free up, you're helping the security picture of the larger Islamist groups. Do I understand that correctly or wrong on that?
You're freeing up room for Boko Haram and the Fulani to continue doing what they're doing because they're not dealing with this other faction over here.
Yeah.
And the Nigerian government doesn't have to worry about them either, but the Nigerian government is still not protecting Christians.
Right. So I sort of had the impression that this was just like coming into this was a good thing, but that it just wasn't as good as
Yeah.
it had been. But if you're taking care of the security threats to the larger Islamist groups, then this is actually a net bad. I don't want to stretch too far there, but I think that's what I'm hearing from you.
Well, no, it's good that the tariffs are blown up. I mean, these guys are bad. They're
Okay,
evil
okay.
people, and
Mhm.
I believe they should be taken care of. But if we're going to be
Right.
serious about protecting Christians, which is what Trump has said, let's get the right people.
Right. Okay. Secondly, what I wanted to address, one thing that I see on your X, I follow you on X. I try to retweet stuff. Elon Musk needs to show me more of you. But I see you frequently addressing these things. And one thing that I'll see is somebody will come in and they'll sort of take a snipe at you. And I think it's unfounded because they don't understand what your group does, that you're working throughout Nigeria. And they'll say, well, how do you know better than US military intelligence? Or how do you know better than the CIA or something like that? Tell our listeners a little bit about the kind of footprints have on the ground in Nigeria, why you know where these attacks are going to happen. I mean, because you're doing really good security work there.
Yeah, 2023, we launched a project called truthnigeria.com that is working with local journalists through the middle belt of Nigeria. And unlike any other news organization on the planet, when attacks occur, we send our guys to where the attacks happen. And we ask the questions: who did it? When did it happen? Where did they come from? How many were killed? What were the names of the killed? What are the names of the bodies? How many survivors? How many wounded victims are in the hospitals?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we document this information, and we've been doing it since 2023. And we've written over 2,000 articles since we started, 2,000. And we've also issued, because we gain the trust of the local,
Mm-hmm.
because we're reporting what's actually happening and not lying about it like the rest of the Nigerian media. We're actually saying this is what happened. This is who did the killing. This is where they came from. Eyewitness real reports and accounts. So we gain the trust of the locals. And when we gain the trust of the locals and build a network of trust throughout the Middle Belt states, they will come to us with information. We see the Fulani gathering here. We see them moving here. We just saw 50 guys on motorcycles with AK-47s heading this direction. People talk, people look, people see, but they know that they can count on us to get the word out, because if they take it to the police, if they take it to the Nigerian military, they will probably end up arrested for sharing information, because the military and the police are corrupt. They'll go to jail. But they know if they tell us, we're going to spread it. We're going to get a terror alert out. We're going to get the news out, let people know what's going on.
Yeah. What you're doing,
and
you're not.
And then the simple thing is this, and I'm just going to be honest, is that during the entire Biden era, there was no security operating directive given to the CIA, given to the embassy in Abuja to track or document or even put resources into figuring out into the Christian persecution. There was no government resources being spent on it. What were they spending their money on? Pushing LGBTQ and feminism to Nigerians. That was their operating directive.
Good grief. Really?
How much diversity and leftist garbage can we push in Nigeria? That was our government operating directive in Nigeria. And so you fill the embassy with these leftists, that are hell-bent on interfaith dialogues and spreading LGBTQ and feminist rallies, versus paying attention to the killing going on 50 kilometers outside their embassy. So that is why the U.S. government does not have a clue in Nigeria, because they've spent zero resources for the last 4 years looking into Nigeria.
Yeah, they'd rather trans these kids than save them, basically.
So Trump gives a directive, country of particular concern, goes to the Nigerian government. Nigerian government says, oh, we have terrorists we can help you get. Boom, here's ISIS. We're going to go get these terrorists together. U.S. Nigerian cooperation. That is exactly what is going on in Nigeria.
Wow. I feel like we've addressed that thoroughly, and our listeners need to know that they need to go to their representatives. Folks, refer back to this show, go to patreon.com/TN Christian, and you can find links to this show in several formats. We're well into the show. Listen to the whole thing, take notes. Sean will publish some notes with that on Patreon. Judd, I've always been impressed with how well you guys use money. Last year in the show, you talked about spending, if I recall, about $600 per person. And the amount of gunshot victims, people that have been hacked with machetes. What you guys were able to do with a very little bit of money to save hundreds and hundreds of lives blew me away. Sean pointed out to me a little bit ago that he was watching a video on equipping the persecuted on y'all's social media recently. He saw that you were asking everyone to sponsor Christmas cows for the people of Nigeria. And this is another instance of very well used money. Like a cow is different than a person, but a Christmas cow. So for $300, how it could bless a lot of people there. Tell everybody a little bit about the Christmas cows. Is it too late to buy a Christmas cow?
We raised the money for the Christmas cows, and we did 120 cows this year.
Okay.
120.
Wow.
And it's $600 for a full cow, 300 for a half cow, 150 for a quarter cow. But what this does is, you understand, there's people that have been driven from their homes, living in camps. They can barely farm. They're struggling to survive. But before they were displaced, when things were peaceful, it was customary for Christians to have beef with their Christmas meal. Like, this is something that the whole village would save up for. They buy a cow, sparse it up, put it in their stew. And this is the way they celebrate Christmas, like we celebrate Thanksgiving. I was like, how can I bless as many people as we can for Christmas? I was talking to my contacts in, our team in Nigeria. How can we do this? And they say, you know what? Blessing them for Christmas with beef, with a cow. That is one way to make it and bring them joy. So we started that 3 years ago, and this year we set a record of 120 cows. And 120 cows, one cow in a village, and they eat every part of the cow.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing goes to waste. I know it's hard for Americans to believe. They don't just eat the fine beef part of it and throw the rest. They eat everything. Mm-hmm. One cow can feed up to, they sparse it out and stew and all that, about 500 people.
That's amazing.
In a village. So we did 120 cows. We fed and helped bless 40 to 50,000 Christians for Christmas by giving out 120 cows, by bringing them joy for Christmas. It doesn't make sense to Americans. I know it's hard to believe, but why give them a cow when you can do this, and this, and this? This is a present and a gift to them.
This is why we are so adamant that our listeners, if they're looking for a quality group to partner with and to be a blessing to Christians, Equipping the Persecuted is the group that we love to talk about. Judd, what you're doing there with every dollar is you're being a great steward. You're making them go so much further. We appreciate what you're doing on the ground. Tell our listeners, where are they going to be able to go? I mean, there's a monthly donation. How much is it?
For a little over $1 a day, $35 a month, go to equippingthepersecuted.org. That's www.equippingthepersecuted.org and partner with us monthly. There's 35, 70, give to your comfort level. But for a little over $1 a day, you can help persecuted Christians in Nigeria and actually help persecuted Christians in Nigeria, because that's what our organization does. We're boots on the ground. We respond. We're not just raise awareness organization. We have a staff of 150 spread throughout the middle belt of Nigeria, rendering aid and comfort to persecuted Christians every day.
This is really cool. Can we go over a couple of these things on the website? And just real briefly, you've got Help Protect an Orphan. That's $35 a month. What is that?
We do have an orphanage.
Okay, so that's an orphanage. Help Care for a Widow. What's that?
We support 1,000 widows a month.
All right. Help Protect a Family. What's that?
That is
$175 a month.
Helping persecuted Christians in their villages, helping families and villages.
Help Sustain a School. $350 a month. What's that?
We have 2 K-12 schools serving over 500 children, and we're looking to build more.
That is amazing. Help Defend a Village, $700 a month.
That is beefing up security for entire villages, providing motorcycles, radios, bulletproof vests, etc., and helping these people defend their villages.
Yeah, I love that. Listeners, please go to equippingthepersecuted.org. If you want to help Christians for anywhere from $35 a month to $700 a month, I mean, there's something there for everyone. And Judd's group does amazing work. And Judd, man, this has gone so fast. What's your message as we leave?
Please continue to pray for our persecuted brothers and sisters. And if you want to support us, go to equippingthepersecuted.org.
Well, thank you, Judd, for coming on during this terrible time to talk with us about your efforts in Nigeria. Listeners, we keep hitting you with this website, equippingthepersecuted.org. Support them. Put it all over social media. listen to this episode again. This is dead information early on. So patreon.com/TN Christian. We'll have it available in your format to listen to this again. BotRadioNetwork.com. Search for Faith in Action there as well. We'll continue to post updates as we get them at tnchristian.com. And also remember that on tnchristian.com, we have links to past shows, articles about current events in Tennessee and the entire nation. If you want to support our work, that's patreon.com/TN Christian. Until next week, no matter how dense the information gets, no matter how bleak things look, the Bible promises in the book of Exodus, the Lord shall reign forever and ever.